For decades, neuroscience held one clean rule: sophisticated attention. The ability to filter out distraction belonged to the prefrontal cortex alone. That region only develops fully in humans and a handful of other primates. Everything else, supposedly, was working with a cruder system. But birds have been filtering distractions for hundreds of millions of years. So have fish. So have turtles. None of them have this cortex. Watch a bird spot a single seed in a cluttered feeder, ignoring everything else around it. That takes real, working attention. So either the textbook was wrong about where attention lives, or something much older was quietly doing the job the whole time. In 2026, a team at Johns Hopkins finally went looking for that older system, hidden deep in the ancient brainstem. They already had a clue. Earlier work in birds, frogs, and turtles pointed to a hub called the superior colliculus. This is a midbrain structure buried deep beneath the cortex, known for handling raw spatial information about the world. There was just one enormous problem with studying it directly. The superior colliculus doesn't just handle attention. It handles vision and movement too. Disrupt it, and an animal's eyesight can blur. Its coordination can wobble. Everything about its behavior gets harder to read cleanly. So, if a distracted animal performed worse after you disrupted this hub, you couldn't actually tell what had broken. Was its attention gone? Or had you simply broken its ability to see the screen or move its head properly? Every experiment kept tangling those three things together: attention, vision, and movement, all wired through the exact same busy hub. To find real proof of a dedicated attention system, researchers needed something wired into that hub, but separate from it. A specialized module, something whose only job was deciding what mattered, without touching sight or motion at all. They found it in a tiny, easily overlooked cluster of cells called the parabigimino-lateral tegmental inhibitory complex. Researchers shortened that mouthful to PLTI. These cells produce a calming chemical called GABA, which quiets nearby neural activity. Using fluorescent tracers, the team mapped their wiring and found PLTI cells connect directly to the superior colliculus. Both ways. Activate PLTI in a mouse, and the superior colliculus calms down immediately. This ancient cluster had its hand directly on the dial. To test what that dial actually controlled, researchers trained mice on a touch-screen game called the flanker task. A central target image appeared, and the mouse had to report its orientation, while a distracting image flickered off to the side. Sometimes that distractor matched the target. Sometimes it directly contradicted it. Researchers could dial its visual intensity up or down at will, using a technique that lets scientists switch specific brain cells on or off with a custom drug. They silenced the PLTI cells. With PLTI switched off, the mice fell apart specifically on the hard trials, where the distractor fought directly against the target. Their distractibility spiked dramatically, in a pattern researchers described as strikingly close to human ADHD. On the easy trials, the ones with no real competition, those same mice performed completely normally. The deficit was oddly specific. The very next day, researchers switched the PLTI cells back on. Full focus returned immediately, even against the strongest distractors. That result alone was striking. But researchers needed to rule out every simpler explanation before they could trust it. First question: were these cells just reacting to raw brightness rather than genuine distraction? They tested that directly. They swapped the meaningful distractor for a plain block of light carrying no task information whatsoever, nothing to compete for attention. This time, silencing PLTI changed nothing. Performance stayed normal. The cells weren't reacting to light. They were reacting to relevance. Second question. Had the researchers simply broken the animal's eyes or their ability to move properly instead of their focus? They tested basic vision directly, unchanged. They tracked head movements with calibrated three-dimensional cameras, also completely unchanged. The single physical difference researchers could find was that silenced mice reacted slightly faster across every single trial condition. That extra speed made sense once they looked closer. Without PLTI's calming signal, the superior colliculus simply ran hot, firing too eagerly. Researchers also measured something more precise: the exact tipping point where a distractor becomes strong enough to steal attention away. In healthy mice, that tipping point was sharp and consistent, almost like a clean switch flipping between target and distractor. Silence the PLTI cells, and that clean switch blurred badly. Weak, unremarkable distractors suddenly became strong enough to win. And yet, even with PLTI completely silenced, mice still performed slightly better than random guessing. Something else, somewhere, was still helping. Nobody has found it yet. Researchers still don't know exactly how PLTI wires into that backup system, or into the modern cortex sitting above it. What they do know is where this circuit came from. It predates the prefrontal cortex by hundreds of millions of years. It was quietly filtering distractions in ancient vertebrate brains long before anything resembling a modern human cortex existed at all. And according to the researchers, the evidence so far suggests this same cluster of cells exists in human brains too. Nobody has confirmed yet whether it does the same job in you that it does in a mouse. That test is still ahead. But if it does, the implications reach further than one mouse experiment tucked away in a research paper. Conditions like ADHD and autism have mostly been chased through the cortex, the newest, most sophisticated part of the brain. This suggests an entirely different target might exist instead. Something older, smaller, and completely overlooked until very recently, somewhere behind your modern, sophisticated mind. A 200-million-year-old dimmer switch may still be quietly deciding what you notice next.